Yo, what's up? My name's Mason from Cyclone MMA, and I've been in a coma for 2 years, hence me not producing any videos. But we're here to talk about UFC 313. Finally, we have like a pretty decent UFC card. Pereira's back, who's like, in the 2 years I've been gone, he's become like the biggest star in the UFC. This fight against Ankalaev needed to happen. I'm glad it's happening. Justin Gaethje was supposed to fight Dan Hooker, and Hooker broke his hand, so we got Rafael Fiziev versus Justin Gaethje 2. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about. Before we get into all of this main card stuff, I'm going to just breeze through the prelims, give you my picks for each and every one of those fights. And then when we get to the main card, we can kind of break it down further and really get into some of these juicier matchups. So I'm going to swing on over to the prelims here. And I'm going to get my phone so I can not be looking at the computer the whole time. First fight of the night, we got DeJordan Santos versus Ozzy Diaz. This is going to be a good fight. Honestly, all of these early prelim matchups are pretty good, and there's some interesting prospects here. I'm taking Santos. I think it'll be a decision. He's probably the least lethal Santos on the card of the two. Ozzy Diaz is a fighter who can take punishment and come back. These are both guys that can land knees too. Yeah, I think that'll be a good one. I'm taking Santos in that. Chris Gutierrez is taking on John Castaneda. John Castaneda is the favorite in this matchup. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not ready to give up on Chris Gutierrez. I've seen too much from him. John Castaneda, you know, he's won some, he's lost some. He lost his last fight. It's just weird to me that he's the favorite here. I mean, Gutierrez, I'm trying to look and see what his last fights are. I mean, he won a fight against Lee Kwong. I know he had some losses there. He lost to Song Yadong. That's not a loss that I take a lot of stock in. Song Yadong is one of the best in the division. It seems like when Chris Gutierrez got to that top 15 range, he struggled a bit. But, I mean, he knocked out Frankie Edgar not too long ago. He's been pretty consistent. He's a knockout threat. I think he's the more dangerous fighter between the two of them. I'm taking Chris Gutierrez. We got Myron Santos versus Francis Marshall. This is a really good one. And something to point out, too. Fire Marshall, which is his nickname, Fire. What a freaking nickname, dude. That's beautiful. Francis Fire Marshall. I just love it. I know that's silly, but he's 8-2 versus the 15-1 Myron Santos. These guys are both dangerous. These guys are active. These guys are the aggressors. This is like a low-key, sneaky fight of the night potential. I'm leaning Santos, but I wouldn't put it past Marshall to get it done. I think Santos is the betting favorite. I think he's the better of the two Santoses on this card. I think Marshall is going to make this an interesting fight. I could see Santos by decision. All right, Red Bull break. Since I was in a coma for 2 years, the only thing I'm allowed to drink for the next 3 weeks is Red Bull. It's just to, you know, help get my energy back and get hyped up for these videos. Moving on to the prelim card, which is a pretty solid card. I mean, you got Curtis Blades headlining. I have a weird relationship with Curtis Blades where I like him. I feel like this dude should have fought for the title already, and he just hasn't. I mean, he fought for the interim belt because John Jones is holding up this division, and Tom Aspinall is I'm not going to get into that. Alex Morano versus Carlos Leal. Carlos Leal fought... what's that? Rinat Fakhretdinov. Fakhretdinov, that's his name. I have a tough time pronouncing that. He fought Fakhretdinov and looked fantastic. He ended up losing a decision that was heavily disputed. I thought Fakhretdinov lost the fight. And Fakhretdinov is a absolute savage. So the fact that Carlos Leal stood toe-to-toe with him, I guess, is why Carlos Leal is such a heavy favorite here. When I saw these names put together, I figured it'd be like... maybe minus 110, Carlos Leal, plus 130 for Alex Morano. Just no respect for Morano, dude. And it's like, I understand Morano's kind of like a win some, lose some type of fighter, but he's fought these upper echelon guys, and he's capable of winning a decision against this guy. I like the Alex Morano by decision bet, just because he's a plus 550 underdog. And I don't know what it would be. It's probably like plus 1,000 for him to win a decision. So I like that. With that being said, I'm taking Carlos Leal. Anyone who can take Fakhretdinov into deep waters like that, I like their chances in the UFC. So I could see this guy bouncing back and having a great performance. But don't sleep on Morono. I think he can make it an interesting fight. We have Bruno Ferreira versus Arman Petrosyan. I think Ferreira has more ways to win. The smart pick is Ferreira, the more powerful guy, the guy, you know, who could get a takedown. I don't see this fight going to the ground. Arman Petrosyan, he's not a wrestler. He's a striker, and he's not a guy who knocks people out. I know I should pick Bruno Ferreira based on everything I've just said, but there's like this weird Willem Dafoe Green Goblin inside of me saying Arman Petrosyan's going to win this fight. So that's the pick. Joshua Van's taking on Ree Saruya. Butchered that name bad. We're going to call him Ray. Ray versus Van. Joshua Van is a delight to watch, dude. This guy is so active. His striking is so crisp. He mixes it up great. And weirdly, the fight that was a big take. Oh, shit. I forgot to move these graphics. I'm a goddamn fool. I'm an idiot. All right, here we are. We're caught up now. Sorry about that, guys. Since I've been in a coma for 2 years, it's been tough on my brain. I'm the only person to be in a coma for 2 years and gain weight in a coma. It's just it's tough out here, you know? So Joshua Van, he's one of the few fighters who, in a losing effort, impressed me more than the winner. He, like, lit up Charles Johnson on the feet, just, like, was giving this guy everything he could handle, and then he got caught and lost in, like, the third round. That was tough to watch, but at the same time, I'm like, this Joshua Van guy, his wrestling's off the chain, dude. He's not wrestling, sorry. His striking is off the chain. He's just so active, so quick. He's only 23 years old. I'm looking for him to win this against an undefeated prospect. I'm just fully on the Joshua Van train. I want to see this guy start climbing the ranks and fly away and get there. But that Charles Johnson fight was kind of a roadblock, but he's had 2 wins since then, so we'll see. All right, we got Curtis Blades versus Rizvan Kuniev, who fought Renan Ferreira, who's the PFL like monster that Francis Ngannou just beat. Excuse me. This guy's really good. He popped for a drug test, and there was like 4 different performance-enhancing drugs caught in this dude's system, and he's really getting fast-tracked in the UFC now. Like I don't think Homeboy has a fight in the UFC. I'm double-checking that right now, but it's just like your first fight in the UFC is Curtis Blades. Yeah, he has a Contender Series win. Before that, it's the no contest against Renan Ferreira, and he ran through Ferreira. So it's like, you know, I don't know. This is a tough one. Like, I'm leaning Curtis Blades just because I believe the UFC to have the best talent. And although this guy destroys everyone he fights and really made Ferreira look like he didn't belong in the cage with him, I'm leaning Curtis Blades. I think he's going to be able to get a takedown. I think he's going to be too heavy-handed. I think if he wanted to, Curtis Blades could win this on the feet. Now, I don't recommend that because he tries that sometimes, and it doesn't go fantastic for him. So I'm taking Curtis Blades by knockout. I'll take Van by decision, by the way. I don't know if I said that. But yeah, I'm doing a really bad job of telling you the actual pick. I talk about the fight, and then I'm like, all right, let's move on. All right, dude. The UFC was freaking mean to make this fight. Bobby King Green versus Rufy, dude. Mauricio Rufy. Rufy is one of those fighting nerds, guys. And he's a savage. He's a monster. This is going to be a striking fight. I don't see any of these guys taking it to the ground. That's not Bobby Green's way, you know, shoulder rolling and doing his thing. I think Bobby Green's going to get slept. I think this is going to be the beginning of retirement for Bobby Green. I'm sorry, Bobby Green. Bobby Green once commented on my YouTube video. I think it was him at least. It was a Bobby Green video, and the name of the channel was Bobby Green. So he said like nice video or something. So like I like Bobby Green because he commented on my video. I think Rufy's gonna knock him out. I think Bobby Green's on his way out. Rufy's on his way up. it's like title aspirations for Rufy, and this is just, you know, another stepping stone to get there. Like, I'm curious to see where this guy goes. I could see him fighting the loser of Gaethje and Fiziev, unless, you know, Gaethje loses and retires. I just see him fighting that 5 to 10 range and then that top 5 range if he can keep winning. But this guy's really exciting. This is going to be an epic fight. I'm really hyped to see this one. All right, Amanda Lemos versus Yasmin Lucindo. Once again, dude, people sleeping on Lemos. She's fought the upper echelon, and I know Lucindo's on her way up, but I just see Lemos as being the one with more ways to win. She's got the power, the ferocity. I think she can take it to the ground if she wants to. I think she can keep it standing if she wants to. In fights like this, where it's like pretty evenly matched, I want to choose the more dangerous fighter to win, and so I'm going with Lemos for that reason. I think she's got some pop, and it's like I'm always at the detriment of all, like I always pick like Jessica Andrade, or I mean I've stopped since she's gone on that losing streak, but she's just so dangerous that it's hard to not pick someone like that. But yeah, all right, now we're at the meat and potatoes of this pay-per-view. I'm picking a lot of dogs for UFC 13, and Jalen Turner's one of those dogs. This dude, I know this card doesn't have ultimate star power other than Pereira and Gaethje, but Jalen Turner versus this Ignacio Bahamondes. This dude's highlights are crazy. This dude is a kickboxing beast. And when I was thinking about this fight, I'm like, yeah, but he's never fought someone as big as Jalen Turner. And I looked. Homeboy's the same size as Jalen Turner, which is just a nightmare situation for any lightweight. This is going to be another striking battle, another potential fight of the night. Man, and I was Jalen Turner all day. You give me Jalen Turner at plus money against really anyone in this division other than like an Oliveira or an Islam Makhachev, I'm taking it. I think Jalen Turner can get the finish. I think he's more boxing heavy. And Bahamondes, dude, what's homeboy's name? Ignacio. I'm going to say Ignacio because Bahamondes sounds terrible coming out of my mouth. Ignacio is just like a nasty kickboxer. He has so many head kick knockouts on his reel, and I think if Turner can avoid those, he's gonna have success. But it's like tough to pick Turner because homeboy is coming off some like really bad fight IQ moments, like the walk-off KO of Renato Moicano. It's like, what are you doing, bro? Finish the job. You got the guy hurt. You want to do the cool walk-off KO, and you end up losing the fight. That's brutal. So I'm picking Turner here. Scary pick. Gonna be an epic fight. Also look for the head kick from Ignacio because that thing comes out of nowhere. So it's like that scene in Rush Hour where Chris Tucker's in the room and there's like all the bad guys, and then someone just kicks him in the face and he just accepts it and he's like, which one of y'all kicked me? That's Ignacio fighting Jalen Turner. Here we go. 2 fights left. These are the big boy fights, okay? Gaethje's taking on Fiziev for the second time. They're supposed to be Dan Hooker versus Justin Gaethje, which I still want to see at one point in my life. We can't lose that fight. That fight's too good, dude. The first time that Rafael Fiziev fought Justin Gaethje, I picked Fiziev to win, and I was surprised to see Gaethje eke out a decision. It was a very close fight, but Gaethje took the later rounds of that fight. I honestly thought Fiziev might have won. But, you know, it was split. The MMA decisions, like the media scorecards were split. Whatever, Gaethje won. I think at this point, even with the layoff and even with, Fiziev's coming off of 2 losses. I think despite that, I think he's younger. I still think he's going to be quicker even with the injury. He had like a leg injury against Gamrot, and he looked good in that first round, but it's still a loss on his record, you know? Lots of variables in this. Like Gaethje was looking fantastic. He knocked out Poirier. He had that Fiziev win in his back pocket. He's fighting the up and coming guys, and then he gets knocked out by Max Holloway. And not only knocked out by Max Holloway, he got pieced up that entire fight, dude. And that's a brutal knockout. They just released the footage of what Gaethje looked like as that knockout happened. Like, it showed him right after, and that was rough. That was one of the more brutal scenes I've seen in the UFC. I'm going Fiziev. I think he's younger. I think he's quicker. I think he's on his way up. I think Gaethje's on his way out. He's already said, basically, if he gets knocked out in this fight, he might retire. I think that's a real possibility. It's a 3-round fight. I lean it going to a decision. I lean Fiziev just being quicker, being the better striker, learning from the mistakes of his last fight. I think between the two guys, who's going to improve more between the two fights, between this first fight and this one, I think it's going to be Fiziev. Could be wrong. We'll see. Banger. Bangers up and down this card, dude. Not a ton of dudes who are just going to, like, wrestle fuck, for lack of a better term. All right, guys. The moment you've all been waiting for, and I'm going to do separate videos on this Gaethje-Fiziev fight and the Pereira-Ankalaev fight. For those of us who, like, watch this, see how long this video is and go, nah, I'm good. I just want, like, a 3-minute video. Red Bull first. Man, this is just a video of me having heartburn and then drinking Red Bull and you guys just listening to it. It's like the shittiest ASMR you've ever heard in your entire life. Now I'm cracking my knuckles. All right, Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. For the longest time, I've been an Alex Pereira hater. I don't hate Alex Pereira. I like Alex Pereira. And I've been a Magomed Ankalaev meat rider. And I don't even love Ankalaev. It's like, my point in all of this is Ankalaev has deserved a title shot for a long time. He had one against Jan Blachowicz. I thought he won, and he looked terrible in that fight. It was a draw. And rather than run that back, they just said, all right, Ankalaev, time to get back in line, buddy. Time to just climb the ranks. And this dude's fight IQ is trash. Like, he's a Dagestani fighter who strikes. He's got that wrestling in his back pocket, dude. We've seen how wrestling-heavy approaches just dominate in the UFC. And this light heavyweight division has no wrestlers whatsoever. And he's like, I'm just going to stand and bang. And he's a good striker, too. Now, he keeps saying he's going to stand with Alex Pereira, and I think that's just a really, really dumb move. My critiques of Alex Pereira, I think he's an amazing fighter. Clearly, he's a champion. He's defending this belt. He's a 2-division champion. My critique of Pereira is not even his fault. He fights his schedule, and he's always active. He's doing everything right. With that being said, the UFC is definitely handing him fighters who can't wrestle. And now they're handing him someone who can wrestle, and the guy who can wrestle says he's not going to wrestle. So I think if Magomed Ankalaev stands and bangs with Alex Pereira, I think he could maybe win a decision. But what's a little more likely is he gets knocked out because Pereira's a monster. I think for Ankalaev to win this fight, he's got to mix in the takedown. And he can't just lay on the guy because Pereira's just going to be like, I'm just going to get back up. He's got to do damage on the ground. With all of this being said, I'm picking Alex Pereira to win this fight by knockout. Because his aura is off the charts. The dude just sees the numbers like he's in the Matrix. And I don't trust Magomed Ankalaev to be smart in this fight and not let his ego get the best of him. He's pissed at Pereira. He thinks he should be in the position where Pereira is. And I think that's going to be to his detriment. I think he's going to try to stand and bang. And I think he's going to lose and get knocked out. That's what I'm thinking. I think there's a clear path to victory for Ankalaev. I don't think he'll take it. I don't trust him to be a smart fighter. So I'm glad this fight's happening. This fight has needed to happen for a long time. Needed to happen before, Khalil Roundtree, even though it was a great fight. It needed to happen before Yuri Prohaska versus Pereira 2. It needed to happen before Jamal Hill even. But we're getting it now, and I'm excited. And it's going to be probably the most interesting Pereira fight that I've seen other than the Israel Adesanya fights. So there you have it. Those are my picks for UFC 313. What do you guys think? Give me your full list of predictions down below. Tell me who's going to win, how they're going to win. What do you think of this card? I rated a B. I think it's pretty solid. I'm actually going to my first ever UFC event, UFC 315, with fan favorite Bilal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena. I'm excited. It's in Montreal. Wasn't the most incredibly expensive ticket. UFC tickets are out of control. I'm gonna keep talking, so I gotta shut this off because I could just go for another 20 minutes talking about lasagna and drones and aliens and all that good stuff. So enjoy UFC 313, guys. Peace out. Time for me to stop this recording.